happening, this breaking news here with Kohberger accepting a plea deal. Let's talk about this plea deal. Why this one? Why now? And now what?
Yeah, this was sudden. No one saw this coming. You know, the defense from the beginning has showed that their hand. They wanted to get the death penalty off the table. They'd do anything to get the death penalty off the table. A lot of their fight in pretrial motions, you know, trying to stall, essentially, motions to continue were continuous. Their investigations were continuous, all in an attempt to really push the prosecution into this deal. And it sounds like they got it done. The prosecution wanted the maximum they could possibly get out of this deal. They want 4 consecutive life sentences. My understanding is they want him to plead guilty to the burglary as well and get the maximum 10-year sentence on there. They want everything they can get minus the death penalty. And so it sounds like it worked. At the end of the day, they don't want this media circus any longer. You estimate that if they go to trial, well, and they get the death penalty, the appeal is going to last 10 years. They appeal to the state Supreme Court, they appeal to the federal district court, appeal possibly onto the Ninth Circuit from there. This ends it quickly and gets it over with, assuring that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison.
So is this a win for both defense and prosecution? And then we hear families upset about it.
Yeah, you know, the family has to be involved. Our victims' rights statutes are very clear. The prosecution every step of the way has to notify, and they often take advice from the family on what they want, and that'll be kind of their guiding light. But it doesn't have to be that way. They can choose whether or not to follow the family's wishes or not choose. Now, taken from another perspective, some of the family members are probably ecstatic this is over. So who do you choose? One family versus the other. If one family wants death and one family just wants this to be over, I mean, it's not just so clear-cut that they ignored one family. No, they probably followed the wishes of many of the other families.
And giving up the rights to an appeal is probably a big part of that, right?
Yeah, this was going to hit the news cycles for years to come, over and over and over again. I mean, the appeals are long and arduous, especially when the death penalty is involved. This really cuts it short. This may all be over and out of the news pretty quickly.
So you really think this is it for this case at this point? We have that hearing coming up Wednesday, and then what?
I've heard that he's going to enter his plea on Wednesday, and then they'll set it for sentencing, and some news agencies are already predicting that it'll happen at the end of July. Now, I don't know where that's coming from, but I predict it might be because they're waiving any pre-sentence investigation report. So when there's no possibility of him ever getting out or getting out on parole or probation ever in his life, well, why do you need to evaluate what his history is to determine whether or not he'd be a suitable candidate for parole down the road? They're skipping all that. They can streamline it and sentence it much quicker. It's possible he could be sentenced immediately without having that pre-sentence investigation process.
Okay, is there anything else that would be valuable that you think our viewers are probably wondering about this case at this point?
You know, it's all coming out pretty quickly. I could probably come up with a lot more even if I was given 30 minutes. I've been stuck in court all day, and we're just learning about this suddenly, and my mind's racing thinking of all the strategic decisions that have been made. But it sounds like the defense finally got what they wanted. There was a lot of things. As you get closer to trial, a lot of issues boil to their head, and it sounds like some issues on both sides are coming to a head. They wanted this to be over. Both sides came to an agreement they can live with, and so the excitement that was planned for August maybe not going to happen after all.
Now, I do have actually one more question. So there was a gag order put on this with everyone involved in the case. Now, with this happening, can we expect to learn a lot more after sentencing, or what would be the timeline for learning what was in all these documents? I mean, thousands and thousands of pages.
Yeah, so he's agreeing not to appeal, and he'll enter his plea. He'll be sentenced, and then they give the appeal period anyway, 42 days after sentence. Then the case will be closed. Then everything is wide open. We'll learn a lot more at that point.
Okay.